beginning of practice is here. And just quick reminders, we're going to have a nice period of time where we'll get to go upside down in shoulder stand near the end of practice, which is why I have this blanket. I'm going to use the wall for that today, so if you want to have that, know that that will be available. And then there also will be an option to have a bolster or something akin to a bolster. Today's practice is very classical in the essence of the word. It's inspired by BKS Iyengar, who was one of the most prominent yoga teachers of the 20th century. He was a student of Desikachar's and Krishnamacharya's, and developed Iyengar Yoga, which is named after him, that continues to this day. And so this is a sequence that is a very classical sequence from that lineage. And so it's a lot of poses that are very familiar, not a lot of complexity, a lot of kind of like pureness in the sequencing today. The one exception to that is the little bit of warm up that we're going to do. And we are going to start standing today. So that's a little bit unique, but we will stand in mountain pose near the front of your space. And for me, when I start standing, I tend to like to take a little bit wider than hip distance stance, just to really feel into that sense of steadiness that comes from the mountain pose. And then take a moment, arms relaxed alongside the body, and think of actually pushing your feet down into the floor. As you do that, you'll feel energy kind of travel up the length of the legs. And then almost in an equal but opposite direction, think of lifting the crown of the head up to the ceiling. So on the one hand, we're pushing down through the feet, legs activate, and then we're lifting up through the crown of the head, spine is elongating. And then we find from those opposite pushing and lifting actions that the body is kind of suspended here in this really alert, vibrant mountain pose. And just take about 3 rounds of breath, feeling that sense of stability, a sense of strength, but also a sense of freedom. And then we'll start very simply with some semicircles with the neck. So the majority of the spine can stay really tall and elongated, but you can release the chin forward towards the chest and then start to roll the right ear over towards the right shoulder. And then chin drops back forward towards the chest and we roll left ear to left shoulder. And just continue this back and forth semicircular movement just a few times. What I like about this movement is I definitely feel my neck, but I also feel a little bit of my upper back. Feeling how the neck and the upper back really connect to each other. And then the next time that your right ear is over to your right shoulder, stay there for just a moment. And reach your left fingertips down towards the floor. So really activate that left arm a little bit. Just hold that for one inhale. And then relax the left arm. Take that semicircular roll over to the other side. Left ear is to left shoulder. And then same thing, activate the right arm, right fingertips reaching down. Now you feel it all the way through the length of the arm. And then relaxing the right arm, roll the head forward and then let it drift back up to neutral. Let yourself lean to the right as if you were going to pick up something off the floor, but you can't bend your knees. And then take your left fingertips up to your left shoulder and start to draw some circles with that left elbow. And just noticing how this circular action is bringing you a little bit into the left side body. And then reverse the direction of those circles. Make sure you're supporting your head and not collapsing it. And then the next time that left elbow is up towards the ceiling, reach that left arm overhead. Pivot your gaze up towards the ceiling and just take one full breath here. And then inhale, lift all the way up. Let that left arm float down. And we're going to do that on the second side. So we're just going to start by leaning to the left, just like you dip through the waist. And then right fingertips come to the shoulder. And then you stay in the lean, but start to draw these big circles through the elbow. Just noticing just how that movement of the top arm, how that brings you into the right side body. And then reversing those circles. Really nice, everybody. Next time that right elbow is up towards the ceiling, reach the right arm over towards the left. Turn the gaze up to the ceiling. Take a full breath in and out. Strong legs here. And then lifting all the way up to center. We're going to have a half salutation flow here. So take your left arm out wide and then draw it across the body and hug it in, either with your hand or with your forearm, and turn your gaze over the left shoulder. Take full breath in here. Exhale, really relax the shoulders down the back. Looking forward again, sweep left arm up towards the ceiling and bend the elbow. So I'm just going to turn it around so you can see this. This left hand either will land behind the neck and head or in the center of the upper back. Make sure we haven't completely lost the ribs here. A little closure in the upper ribs. One more breath in. And then exhale, arm sweep out and down. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Drop the knuckles. Take a nice big breath in. And then as you exhale, release the bind and just take a soft fold forward to your first Uttanasana. Half salutation from here. Fingertips to shins. Half lift to tabletop. Exhale, fold. And then circle sweep the arms wide and rise all the way up to the top of that mountain. And then hands through the center of the body. Beautiful. Second side with that sequence. So take the right arm out wide and then sweep it across the body and hug it in either with hand or forearm. As you relax the shoulders down, turn your gaze to the right. Full breath in and out. And then that next inhale, you sweep the right arm up. Left fingertips are still on the elbow as you lower that right hand down, and then just a little drawing in of those upper ribs. As you exhale, arms float down. Interlace the fingers the way that feels a little bit not intuitive, a little strange. Drop the knuckles to lift the heart. And then release the bind, soft fold forward. And classic half salutation. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Let the arms take up their space all the way up. And hands to heart center. We're going to do that one more time, movement to breath. Here we go. Inhale, right arm wide. Exhale across the body. Turn the head. Inhale. Exhale, settle. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, stay. Inhale, arms reach out and down. Interlace the fingers on the exhale. Inhale, lift the chest, drop the knuckles. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, deepen the fold. Inhale, rise, mountain. Exhale, close. Last side, inhale, left arm wide. Exhale across the body, pull it in. Inhale, looking left. Exhale, stay. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, elbow bends. Inhale here. Exhale, arms release. Interlace those fingers. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, release. Inhale, half. And fold. Inhale, up, Tadasana. Exhale, close. 2 Surya Namaskaram A's. I'm just stepping to the front of my mat. Inhale, arms sweep out and up. Exhale, folding forward. Steady breath, in breath. Exhale, back to the plank. Knees could come down. Lower through that chaturanga. Inhale in your back bend. Exhale to your dog. Breathe for 3. Breathe for 2. Inhale, look to the front of the mat. Exhale, travel to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, top of mountain. Exhale, hands to heart. One more just like that. Inhale. There's a reason this Sun A exhale fold is classic in almost every tradition. Inhale, half lift. Honoring that tradition as you step back to plank. Knees could lower. Find your chaturanga. Find your back bend. Press to the dog. 3 breaths. And 2. Inhale, look to the front of the mat. Exhale, move to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. And exhale, close. 2 lunge salutations. Release the arms. Take a full inhale, standing tall. Exhale, gather that energy, hands to heart, position 1. Position 2, forward up, a little back bend at the top, and then folding over the legs, 3. Step the left foot back, melt the left knee down. Hands could stay down, or you could reach them up to the ceiling. Totally up to you. 1 breath in the lunge. And then hands come down, stepping back to downward facing dog. You could take knees, chest, chin, or plank through chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Left foot will step forward. Right knee will melt down. Option to keep hands down or lift them to ceiling. Exhale, hands down if you lifted them. Step right foot forward to meet the left and fold. Reach all the way up. A little back bend at the top. And then close it out, hands to heart. 1 more just like that. Release the arms, breath in. Exhale, hands gather at heart center. Honoring the tradition of these classic flows, back bend, folding over the legs, forward bend. Right foot steps back, right knee drops down. 1 breath in, breath out, you find the dog. You move forward through knees, chest, chin, or plank through chaturanga, into your cobra or up dog, and back to your down dog, position 8. Right foot forward, left knee down. Position 9 on the in-breath. Position 10, left foot comes forward, folding Uttanasana. Position 11, up to the top of the mountain, back bend. Closing position 12. Release the arms, close the eyes. Take a moment to notice, after a brief warm-up and just 4 sun salutations, how that traditional practice has already started to impact how you're feeling in the body, the quality of the mind, the awareness of your breath. And if you had closed the eyes, begin to blink open the eyes. We're going to set up for a long standing sequence. So we're going to start in our triangle pose. So I'm going to have my right foot forward, right toes turned out, arms reach up, and we set up for our triangle pose. I'm going to start to reach towards that front right leg. Hand will lower either to your shin, to a block, if you like having a block, or to the floor. And as we breathe here, I really want to think about sending the breath in the right side of my body, because that's where I tend to get really crunchy. Take a couple more breaths in this Trikonasana. Feeling the angles of this pose, the strong straight lines between the angles. Last breath here in the Trikonasana. We're coming into side angle pose. So I'm going to bring my left hand down to my waist. I'm going to bend my right knee really deeply. And I'm going to bring my right forearm up onto my thigh. And then I'll re-extend my left arm overhead. And this is the point where I might say, okay, this actually feels like more than enough work. And then I could stay right here. If I'm like, okay, I actually think I could do a little more, then this hand that I lifted, maybe I see, okay, do I want it on a block here, or do I want to come down to the floor again? And I see what makes sense, making sure I can still continue my breath. Notice if you've collapsed that back arch, keep it lifted. One more breath. We're going to lift up to warrior two. So I'm going to lift up through my left arm and open to my warrior two. This leg is already feeling it because it was in that side angle. So we're only going to be here 3 deep breaths. Make sure we're not overly leaning towards that front leg, really keeping that spine straight up and down out of the pelvis. Now here's the biggest transition to warrior one. Drop that left arm. And as that left arm comes forward, I'm going to hop this back foot in a little bit. Then I can square my hips and shoulders and reach my arms towards the ceiling for Virabhadrasana 1. If you're feeling really energetic today, you could take Steeple Mudra, interlacing the fingers, pointer finger up, and driving that energy up as you sink down through the legs. One more breath. Pyramid pose. Straighten that front leg. Ooh, thank goodness that front leg's been working. Start to hinge forward. Letting the arms drop. This is a great place for 2 blocks, or hands could be on the shin or on the floor. You could always shorten up this stance if it's feeling a little too narrow. Notice the heat in the body, the way that these poses interact with each other. Last little pose here. Walk the hands to the left. The feet will follow you until they're parallel. Prasarita Padottanasana A. Take a moment to lengthen your spine and then walk the hands back in line with your feet. Push the hands down into the mat to encourage the crown of the head towards the earth. How's your breath? Mine is wanting to get a little bit agitated, a little bit jagged. So I'm really focusing on my exhale right now. One more breath in Prasarita Padottanasana. As I prepare to come out, I'm going to lift my head, walk my hands forward. I'm going to soften my knees quite a bit as I bring my hands to my waist and lengthen out and up. Then I'm going to turn my heels in 45 degrees and take kind of a very mild goddess pose here. This does not have to be like a, super fierce goddess pose. You could even keep your hands on your waist. Just one more breath here. And then you're gonna step to the front of your mat to Samastitihi. So that back foot is gonna step forward. You're gonna close that sequence, release the arms alongside you, and take 3 full rounds of breath in this mountain pose before we do that sequence on the second side. That sequence of standing poses worked on the majority of the major muscle groups in the body, so feeling that reverberation, but also letting this last breath here be really soothing before we start the second side. So when you're ready, I like to bring my hands to my waist. As I set up, I'm setting up for triangle pose with the left leg forward. So left leg forward, toes pointing straight ahead, my arms lift up, and then really intentionally entering, letting the pelvis tilt, and then letting the hand land wherever it lands. I'm tighter on this side, so I'm going to use my block on this side. So giving yourself permission to do the poses differently. You do not have to look up if that strains the neck. Remember the first time a teacher told me that I could look down, and I was like, oh, that's so liberating. Last breath here in triangle. Okay, now this front knee is going to go to bend, and it's going to be bent for a while. So start to bend that left knee. Go ahead and lift up and bring the left forearm to the thigh and bring that top hand to the waist for a second. Really establish that bottom half of the posture. Then reach that right arm overhead at the diagonal. Feel that energy from those fingertips to that back foot. Yes. And then this could be it. Be like, okay, this is where I want to work today. If you're wanting more, you could lower the hand. I often like it in front, but behind is fine too. And we continue here for 2 more breaths. There's nothing rushed or urgent about this practice. Really embodying one posture at a time. Start to lift that top arm. Keep the pelvis nice and anchored as you open to Warrior Two. Beautiful. Finding that strong Warrior Two stance. And even though this is still a powerful pose, there is a little bit of a sense of like, oh, this is kind of a break after side angle. So enjoy that 1 more breath. And then think of this transition almost as its own pose. Sweep that back right arm down. As it comes forward, this back leg is going to do a little hop forward and out. Then I square my hips and shoulders, arms come up, and I drive this front knee forward deeper. There's your Warrior One. Beautiful. Option to interlace the fingers and find that steeple mudra if that's of interest. Feeling that equal energy, just like we did in that opening mountain, down through the feet, up through the spine. And then as you start to come to the pyramid pose, release the steeple mudra, straighten that front knee. That's going to feel nice. I need to adjust my stance a little bit more narrow. And then I start to hinge forward and let my hands land where they land. I'm not striving to get anywhere in particular here. This is kind of the height of that standing sequence, so particular attention to the exhale can be so soothing here, can really help enhance your stamina in the poses. Last breath in. And then transition to that Prasarita Padottanasana, walking the hands to the right. Let the feet follow you. And then option to come into the big toe bind here by wrapping your peace fingers around the big toes. I anchor my thumb in front of my big toe on the mat. And then I inhale, take a nice lengthening of the spine. Exhale, my elbows move in opposite directions and the crown of my head pulls down. So my upper back is super active here, broadening my sitting bones. 2 more deep breaths.
Inhale, lengthen the spine forward and release those big toe binds. Hands to the waist, soften the knees pretty deeply. Rise out and up to come to standing. Goddess pose, spin those heels in and then melt it down into a goddess. This can be mild, does not have to be a super deep goddess. One more breath in, close to the front of your mat, Samastitihi, hands to heart center, and then release the arms and take 3 to 4 deep breaths. One more breath in the mountain. We're going to transition to the mat. So if the eyes are closed, you can blink them open. We'll circle sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, swan dive forward over the legs. Inhale, take a half lift. Walk it back to downward facing dog. No vinyasa here. We're just finding a dog for a brief moment. And we're actually setting up for hero's pose. So as we settle the knees to the mat, this might be a great opportunity to use a block. It makes this exceedingly more comfortable. And I put the block right between my feet and then sit down, okay? So we'll find our hero's position. If this is just really an unhappy place for your joints, by all means find a different comfortable seat, okay? It's not a requirement to be here. We're gonna circle sweep the arms out and up. Interlace the fingers. If you wear lots of rings, you may want to take them off. Flip the palms towards the ceiling. And we're doing almost a version of cat and cow here. So as you exhale, I want you to draw the palms forward and round your spine like a cat pose. And then as you inhale, lift up and puff your chest forward like a cow. Take 2 more of those. Palms forward, round the spine, curve out the belly. And then lift the palms, the essence of a back bend here. Take that one more time. Round the spine, hollow out the belly. And then lift up and find the essence of a back bend. And then let the arms just float down. Really nice. So we're gonna work with Supta Virasana, which is very similar to fish pose, but with the option to have the legs here. So I'm going to show Supta Virasana, and then if that doesn't work for you, the option that you do is you just extend the legs forward, which is really nice. So for me, I'm going to turn sideways, and this was the pose that we're going to have our bolster for today. So I'm sitting on my heels. I'm going to have the bolster behind me, and then just coming to the middle of my mat. And then I start to drape myself back, and I might just go this far. This might be as far as I go today, and just take my breaths. Or you might feel comfortable coming back and over. And again, if this doesn't work for you, no problem. Simply unfurl the legs and then do the pose, because this is really a back bend. I'm looking for a passive back bend today, okay? I have a clock right here on my wall. It's an atomic clock, so it's always correct. I'm watching it. You're already 10 seconds into this. This is going to be about 1 minute and 15 seconds total. And as you rest here, really send an invitation to your breath to embody the full capacity of your lungs here. Feel a sense of expansion, inflation, and opening all along the front compartment of the chest and torso. Just about 4 more deep breaths here. 2. Take in one more complete inhalation. And then really recruit your arms as allies in the lifting out. This is the least graceful part of that posture, I fully acknowledge. And then give yourself a moment to just sit upright. We don't want to go forward right away. There was a lot that was happening there. Just give yourself a breath or two. Really, really nice. And then we're going to set up for a longer inversion sequence, okay? As I mentioned at the beginning of practice, I'm going to be doing this against the wall. So if you need to make any shifts yourself in your space, this is the time to do it. I would advise, because I'm going to be cueing, staying in shoulder stand for a bit, having a blanket of some sort. And the reason for that is because we want the shoulders to be on the surface of the blanket, slightly elevated, so the neck and the head feel like they have more space. There's less compression happening in the cervical spine. That's the objective here. So I'm going to put my blanket here because my head is going to be here and my hips are going to be up against the wall. Okay, moving my bolster out of the way. Lovely. And then I'm going to sit to one side and I'm going to roll up. And as you prepare to come into your shoulder stand, the head again should be off the blanket, but the shoulders should be on it. A nice opportunity to tuck in the shirt if you feel like it's going to float up. And then if you're at the wall with me, arms alongside your body, bend your knees so the feet come flush with the wall, and then start to push into your feet. And for a brief moment, you're in a supported bridge pose here. And that's a great opportunity to roll the shoulders onto the back and then bring the hands to the low back for support. And we're going to do a supported shoulder stand by walking the feet up the wall until the knees straighten, but I keep my feet on the wall. So it's actually like a diagonal shoulder stand. So there's even less weight on the neck here. And so there's just this diagonal ramp from heel to head. And I'm talking less because it's not super advised to talk a lot in this posture, but I am watching my clock. I'm going to take about 4 more breaths right here. Now I'm moving through a sequence. You can come with me as much as you want to come with me. You can come out at any point. I am going to come into plow pose. So I'm going to bend my knees, bring my feet on the wall. Then one leg at a time, I'm going to extend my legs overhead towards the floor. I'm going to find my plow pose. And for me today, I'm actually going to release my arms and just let myself enjoy this position for a bit. Because I'm looking for a little bit more restorative approach, I'm even going to flip onto the tops of my feet and let my knees kind of soften here. I'm going to take about 2 more breaths in the plow. And then I'm going to bring my hands back to the small of my back, my low back. Start to straighten the knees if they were bent. And I'm going to come into a classic shoulder stand with my legs reaching towards the ceiling for a few breaths. And then I'm going to slowly bend my knees and bring one foot at a time back to the wall. Release my arms and take a very slow descent, letting my spine, one vertebra at a time, return to the floor. once my tailbone arrives, which it almost has, that's how slow I did that descent. Now it's landed. Now I'm just going to straighten my legs and find a moment here in legs up the wall. And just notice there is so much that the body is processing right now. We were upside down for the better part of 5 minutes. And I'm not rushing the body processing everything that just happened. If you feel like you need more time to let that sequence of inversions settle in the body, please take it. I'm going to cue a wall twist here. So I'm going to take my arms out into a wide T position and then bend my knees until my feet kind of slide down the wall. And this is super simple, not overcomplicating it. I'm just going to slide my feet in like a quarter circle over to the right until my knees find the floor and I'm in a spinal twist. So the soles of my feet are still on the wall. I just did a little quarter circle, release. If it's comfortable for the neck, you could lift the head and rotate your entire gaze over that left arm. And just noticing this practice was in so many ways very simple and uncomplicated. Very classic shapes that have been practiced for hundreds of years by yogis around the world. Let the gaze turn back towards the ceiling and then engage the core just enough to bring the legs back to center. Let the knees open, pause for a moment here in like a wall butterfly. And I often like to lift my arms and just rest them on my inner thighs here, almost like a little weight. I find it helps me relax here. And just thinking to yourself, why do you think this collection of postures that we practice today, why are these part of that classic canon? What about these shapes has stood the test of time, has applied cross-culturally, across genders, as we age? And then setting up the twist on the second side. If your arms are on the inner knees, as mine are, you can release them. And again, just bringing the inner thighs together. My feet are on the wall. Take the arms out in that T shape, and then just let the legs slide in that semicircle over to the left. Always the option to turn the head if it feels good. I'm noticing that I liked turning my head to the left, but to the right it doesn't feel so good, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep it neutral today. And there's something very stabilizing about doing a very classic, simple practice. This feeling of a practice that can be visited in times of change or turmoil in any stage of life, and has the ability to really meet us where we are. As you start to come out from the twist, letting the feet come back to the wall, back to center. And then extending the legs. So I'm Going to suggest Viparita Karani, legs up the wall for Shavasana today. If you prefer a more classic Shavasana by lying flat on the floor, that is certainly available to you. But finding a position where you can really commit to a degree of stillness. If you can adapt to balance in a world that is always moving and always unstable, then you learn how to become tolerant to the permanence of change and difference. If you can adapt to balance in a world that is always moving and always unstable, you learn how to become tolerant to the permanence of change and difference. BKS Iyengar. One more minute here. Without moving your body, simply allow the breath to become deeper and more conscious. Allow your head to drift from left to right, releasing any tension in the neck, through the jaw. And then as the head lands in the center, start to wiggle your toes, and if they're up the wall, begin to soften your knees, sliding the feet down the wall. And let yourself roll to your favorite side to rest in a fetal position for a few breaths. Pushing into the hands, rising back up to a comfortable seat. And before we close the practice, we're just going to do 5 rounds of Chandra Badana, which is the moon breath. It's very similar to alternate nostril breathing, except simpler, because you always inhale through the left nostril and always exhale out through the right. Okay? So if you're familiar with this, you can start on your own at any time. If you need a little bit more instruction, take your right hand and just make a very soft fist, and then release the thumb and the ring and pinky finger and bring the hand towards the face. Go ahead and close off your right nostril and then inhale through the left. And then close the left, release your thumb, and exhale right. And then switch, that's it. Inhale left, and switch, exhale right. And just continue on your own. 3 more rounds, no rushing the breath. These can be very long breaths, especially the exhale. This breathing practice is particularly popular in the summer months because it's a naturally cooling breath. And there's no rush, but once you've finished 5 rounds, completing with an exhale out the right nostril, you can release the hand and just return to your normal, intuitive breathing. And just noticing any balance that feels present in your system, that balance that Iyengar was speaking to in that quote that I read, that balance that is the natural occurrence of our practice. Let's bring the palms of the hands together. We ask that the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light, which sounds like these 4 words in Sanskrit. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Victory to all of our practices.